The Harvard Business Review did a study back in 2009, and they said that one of the top ingredients for coaching success was that the person being coached was highly motivated to change. And they also said that the person being coached also had a fierce desire to learn and to grow. Their words, not mine. Don't you want to be known as someone that has a fierce desire to learn and to grow? I mean, I just loved that phrase when I read it. I'm going, I want to be known as someone that has a fierce desire to learn and to grow. I want to be known as somebody that's motivated to make change, both in myself and to be able to equip and impact other people to make change as well. So it really got me thinking as I was researching this idea of, what does it mean to work with a coach? And my perspective on coaching has really changed over the last little bit. And so I wanted to share some of those insights with you today, dive into some examples in my life, and just hopefully be able to broaden your perspectives as well as what can actually be possible. What could you do by working potentially with a coach? Now, there have been times in my life where I thought that working with a coach was only for athletes. I'm not an athlete. I wasn't born that way. It's not who I am. I know I'm speaking a self-fulfilling prophecy over myself. I shouldn't say that, but 41, here's where I am. Definitely haven't had a lot of experience playing on teams or being with coaches in that regard. So it wasn't really something that I grew up with a whole lot in that realm of my life. But also, maybe in the past I've thought about a coach and maybe been confused a little bit between a coach or a mentor, where I thought, well, if I was going to work with a coach, it would have to be like a longer term relationship, maybe longer than I'm even comfortable with, for a series of weeks or months or whatever that is. And I do have experience working with coaches, business coaches, for longer periods of time, and it's been incredibly beneficial. Sometimes that isn't always what you need, right? Sometimes you just need somebody to actually coach you through a very specific situation or a very specific challenge that you might be facing, or perhaps even an opportunity that you've now come across, and you want to know what are some of the steps that can help you go from A to B. How can somebody help to clarify that journey for you? And I think a coach can really help you do that. So I've had two very specific examples over the last couple of months working with elite level coaches. People who are very much the best at what they do in two very, very different circumstances, but both of these kind of came together and helped me reframe my perspective and look at coaching from a totally different angle. So my first experience was recently. My wife and I just welcomed our third baby girl into the world, and we're so incredibly blessed. She's healthy. She's doing amazing. Mom and baby are both doing great. So it's really my wife's story. I was there and she was trying to rip my hand off, so I do feel like I can at least tell part of the story, right? But we had the opportunity to work with a midwife through that process. But very specifically, when we were going in to have the baby, the midwife was there and just coached my wife through that experience. Now, to watch this midwife communicate with my wife and understand what she was walking through and going through in that moment, and actually be able to help her with some very, very specific instructions and guiding her in how she should not just physically act and what she needed to physically do to bring this baby out into the world, but actually mentally and emotionally, and how she was able to guide her through that process. It was absolutely incredible to work with someone that was so experienced, so skilled in walking through that process, which isn't something that is easy. It's very challenging. It's very difficult. Something that, I don't ever get the opportunity to go through. My wife's amazing, right? But having that coach there, having somebody to walk through that with you, I believe made that situation much better than maybe it could have been. So, if you're a healthcare professional, I just want to say thank you so much for what it is that you do. You're coaching people through some very difficult and challenging situations, not just childbirth, but through all other sort of medical things. So thank you so much to all of our healthcare professionals. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's so many things that we couldn't do without you. Please continue to do what you do and pour into people. Now, maybe that story doesn't relate to you. Maybe you don't have kids, haven't had kids, not sure about kids, whatever it is. But I had another experience recently as well. I had the opportunity to work with a business coach by the name of James Wilson. Great guy, very, very good at what he does. He's actually a pastor and also does business coaching and sort of helping people with brand and identity. And it was amazing. We had the opportunity to connect and meet through a group that we were a part of online. And we did this coaching session where he walked through a brand strategy with me for what I'm working on right here with this channel, again, with jasonalcott.com and the sewing principle. And it was incredibly helpful because James was able to kind of push me and guide me through a thought process. He had a methodology that we walked through to help to identify and clarify some of the pieces around what we're trying to do with these videos. What are we trying to do with the book? And what are we going to go after next to help to be able to reach and serve you, to help to improve your life, to help to improve your ability to go after your purpose and what God wants to do in and through you. So what James was able to do was sort of hold me accountable to myself, right? Really ask me the questions that needed to be asked and force me to answer them in such a way that I could get things down on paper, that we could actually clarify ideas such that coming out of that session, I had a really good picture of, here's what I need to work on next. Here's some things that I still need to be able to figure out. But an hour and a half, couple of hours working with James, all of a sudden, if I tried to do that on my own, it probably would have taken me a lot longer, or I might not have done it at all. But engaging him as a coach in that very specific situation was incredibly helpful to gain some clarity. Now I feel like I've got a clear direction and a path to run on. I know what my next steps are. And that's what a coach can really help you to do. So my challenge for you today is, are you seeing yourself in a spot where you might be stuck? Maybe it's in defining your purpose, or maybe it's in launching a business or a new creative idea, but maybe you're seeing, I don't really know what to do with those next steps. Maybe you should consider the possibility of engaging or working with a coach. Don't think that it has to be a long-term thing. It could be a really short thing. It could just be a phone call. It might just be a Zoom, an hour or something like that on a Zoom, where somebody can walk you through how to move from point A to point B, how to get those first steps sort of in front of you so you understand and have some clarity. There's a lot of coaches out there. Seems like life coaches around every corner. So, what should you be looking for in a coach that could actually be able to help you move from A to B? I want to walk through a couple of things with you right now. So the first thing that I would recommend that you look for is, does that coach have a methodology? Do they have a system or a process that they're actually following? This isn't a therapist of somebody that's just there to listen to you and what you're trying to walk through. You want somebody that's actually there to walk through an idea, plan, or methodology that they have available to them or have worked with over the time to help you go from A to B, right? So if you do need someone to listen to, or you do need someone to help you walk through maybe an emotional challenge or opportunity or thing that you need to come through, then a therapist might be exactly what you need. But I'm thinking very specifically here about, you've identified, I'd like to move towards this. I'd like to move towards the opportunity to understand God's purpose in my life. I'd like to move towards the opportunity to clarify my business or brand or whatever it is that you're working on. Then you want to go and find a coach that's specific in that area, and you want them to have a methodology, something that you can walk through with them, that they can ask you sort of a specific set of questions. Not that it's restraining, but it actually opens up the conversation so that you can push yourself and they can push you to be able to gain clarity around the direction that you want to go and how you're going to get there and the steps that you need to take. That's really what you want coming out of it, right? So, when I was working with James, he had a very specific brand strategy template that we walked and worked through. He wasn't making it up on the fly. He had a path. We knew what we were doing. And that's what a coach can really help you to clarify, if they've got a good methodology or system or process that they work with. And the second thing that I look for in a coach is there a good fit? I would encourage you, have a pre-call. Like, if they aren't willing to do a pre-call for free just to get to know you and feel out what it is that you're trying to do, they're probably not a great fit right away. Make sure that you feel comfortable talking to that person. Not because they might not be good at what they do. I'm sure they are very good at what they do, but you want to be able to make sure you feel comfortable being open, being honest, and having a very real discussion with somebody about whatever it is that you're trying to work through, to the point that they can actually push you and actually draw out of you some of the things that they're going to need to know to walk through that process and methodology and be able to give you those next steps. Because if you can't be honest, or if you're going to hold back, then it's going to prevent you from having that highly motivated energy to want to change, or that fierce desire to learn and grow that's going to allow that coaching session or coaching sessions to be a success. You really want to make sure that there's enough of a connection there where you can feel that level of trust, where you can feel like you can be open and honest about what it is that's going to allow you to move forward. And the third thing that I look for is, do they have success or experience in the area that you're looking to be coached? That should seem fairly straightforward, but we all got to start somewhere. So you're going to kind of want to be conscious of, who are you working with? Do they have experience? Have they worked with other people before, and other testimonials from people that have had success in working with them? Or do they have experience, whether it be in business or whatever it is that you're working for? Do they have a sort of a track record that you can just reference and make sure that you understand who you're talking to? Because maybe you don't know them. Maybe you found them on the internet, or they've been recommended by someone, but can you see a track record of success in helping other people to achieve what it is that they're going for? They've got experience in that space or success in that space. And make sure you're checking that box before you run down the road of actually working with someone and potentially investing some time and finances into working with them. So if you're feeling stuck and you're not 100% sure what steps to take next, it might be time to look for a coach. I think we all need a hand up in life sometimes, right? We need someone to come alongside us and just pull us up and help us to elevate our game and help us to clarify and go after what we want. I think sometimes you might be sitting there waiting for someone to come along and give you a hand up, waiting for someone to pour into you. What if you need to take the step out and actually work with somebody like a coach that can give you that hand up, but you actually have to take the step to find them or actually work with them? Because a coach can do that. They can give you that hand up. They can help you to clarify that purpose. They can help you to clarify, the direction and clarity of what it is that you want to work on. But you might have to reach out to them first. If we're just sitting and waiting for someone to come along, you might be waiting a long time, or might not recognize the opportunity when it comes up. Because I know that God wants to do incredible things in and through you. So how do we actually allow someone like a coach to come alongside and allow those things to happen faster? So think about it from this perspective. If you didn't engage with a coach, what might your life look like, right? The same kind of question. If I don't do this, what does my life look like over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And when I think about a coach, I think, well, that's going to impact my life specifically. But let's think broader than that. What if you're called, and I believe that you are called to make an impact, okay? You're called to impact the lives of others, to be able to uplift and encourage other people through what it is that God's called you to do. So if you engage with a coach, and that actually allows you to get on that path a little bit sooner, or to at least understand and clarify more of what it is that you're supposed to do, then the impact of working with a coach is not just you and your own personal life, but it's actually going to impact the lives of all the other people that you're supposed to be impacting. Well, now all of a sudden it's not just about you. So the opportunity becomes that much greater to get yourself unstuck, to get yourself moving forward. I believe in you. I know that God wants to do incredible things in and through you. So I hope that you have an absolutely awesome rest of your day. I hope you're able to take this and run with it. And I look forward to sharing with you again next week.